And you see it with me on here, you know, I'm a come for it. I come right back at them, and I'm getting violated and warned all the time because I'm just writing them off. You can't do that in the street. You'll be in jail. Do you think I'll get into anything with anyone on the street like I do on here? It's over in an instant. 2 words later, it's yours getting attacked. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't have these type of verbal things on the streets. It's just not, it's not palatable. So you've got to be careful. You know, you can imagine me being on the streets with one of these and he comes at me screaming mad. Think about it. If I grab this cunt by the neck, who's going to prison? Me or who's more well known? Who's more notorious? Who's more of an example? Isn't it? And this is what you've got to understand, people. Honest to God, when these rats that come on here and run the mouths off, they're coming on fake profiles. You know, they're setting up a profile with a fake picture, with nothing that can ID them, and then they're getting cheeky. Does that not explain exactly the type of character I'm dealing with? Shat on social media. He's probably 50 miles away in Liverpool, 80 miles away in Liverpool, and he's still scared to put his face and his name to it. So imagine that saying to me on the street, face to face. So there's loads of houses out there that do that type of trolling. And believe it or not, you come into contact with the majority of your trolls and you see them shoot themselves and you wonder, why is he just himself like that? Why did his face drop when he had eye contact with me? You've never seen him in your life. All of a sudden he's seeing you and just went, it's because he knows he's been insulting you behind the scenes for months. And if he knew who you was, you'd be in a mess. And you can see it in them straight away. And there's loads in Liverpool. This is what I'm on about in Liverpool. You know, you've got family men. Let's say Brian Broad as an example. Twisted, envious of every cousin, every brother in his life. Sits there selling weed and he's got some fat scab as a bird and all his daughters are fat and horrible. Him, twisted little weird kid, will be in his living room or in his bed next to his fat bear like that. Trolling. Hating. You know, people like that. And there's loads of them everywhere. Everywhere. Bam, 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 da, 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 da. And what you do? You know, these people will come at you deliberately knowing you've got more to lose. They will come at you screaming their mouths off all over the place, knowing the minute you act, you've it. So they will go all out trying to provoke you, saying mad shit about your children, about anything you love and care for. They will attack, wanting to antagonise you to the place where you're provoked and acting aggressively and chatting shit the way you don't want to. But that's what they'll do. They won't just like front it. How long have they knew where I've lived? Has anyone knocked at the door by themselves? Not one. Even fat cunty and Farley, when I was given the Farley shit, Ian Farley's came to me door of me flat. Never came up to the flat door. Stood outside, throwing stones at me windows. Come down here. He had some little dickhead gunman stood next to him. This is what I'm dealing with. You know, Darren Till's, all these big hard cunts. Darren Till got in a car and come and met me by himself. He'd get a straightener. But he wouldn't come by himself. He'd have to bring a driver. He'd have to bring his little mate with him. He'd have to bring his little thing with him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Me, if you want to fight me, come and see me by yourself. I'm straight up, mate. You come by yourself and I will have a go at you. Couldn't give a who you are. And this isn't me being big and strong. I've always been like this. But you don't get that. It's very rare you're going to get someone like me who's willing to go and knock at your front door and have a straightener by himself. And the amount of times I've done it, just turned up at people's houses by myself, and they've rang police, and I've been arrested. And the amount of lads that's ran their mouth off, and I've coughed for them, and 2 days later, I'm in custody, being snitched on, and having to pay them money to get me out. This is gang life. This is Liverpool life. This is what the gangsters are like in Liverpool. I've been in custody 6 times for gangsters in the city of Liverpool, and had to pay them to get out. And they've had me sitting in jail for 6 months, telling me I'm getting a tenner that if I don't pay them. This is Liverpool for you. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And it's not just Liverpool. It's every city. And it's them old school gangsters like the Farleys that started using tactics of snitching as if it was called blackmail, that encouraged all the other youth and all the other little shitheads to start blackmailing people with snitching as if it was all okay. And that's where the city started getting... Why? Because you had shitheads like the Farleys who were not criminal at all. They were living on the back of the Dar's fames who were not criminal at all. They start snitching on people. And it lets all the youth think it's okay to snitch on people and then ask them for 50 grand to drop the charges. Why? Because it's not snitching. It's blackmail when they're doing it. But when other people try and do it, all of a sudden they're snitching. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's gang life in the city of Liverpool. And all you youth that think gang life is no snitching and gang life is loyal, go and wake up and have your cornflakes, because you're all in a nightmare and you're not going to realise it until 10 years down the line when you've up. And that's the way it went, people. Gang life. Full of snitches and unloyal, emotional wrecks. So all those little gangbangers are young kids, emotionally inadequate to control themselves. Mind your business, Bengi. And you've got men. You've got grown men, 34 years of age, proclaiming to be gang members, wearing blue bibs, stood on a street in Toxteth, rapping. 36, 38, 40-year-old men still selling weed on mountain bikes. This is gang life in Liverpool, people. I don't know what the think gang life is. Hey, it's not mafioso. It's not Rolls Royces and apartments and £1 million watches. It's in dickheads that think that Tupac, standing on a corner at 39 years of age, terrorising kids for weed. Sam Walker's a prime example of gang life in Liverpool these days. Prime example of a gangster from Liverpool these days. It's true though, you're not lying. I know. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Why? Because I'm fact checked. Everything I say, everything I do, you've got people trying to pull it into dispute. He's lying. Why? Because I'm telling truth about you. All of a sudden I'm lying. Go and give your head a shake. Gobshites all yous. Jane Upton, no hate, just asking what, mate? Never even seen your question. But that's what you're dealing with. Honest to God, that's what you're dealing with. Even your 50-year-olds, look at these Cogginses, look at that Vincent Coggins. Do you know what he is? A raging crackhead. Look at the leader of the Liverpool Mafia, a raging crackhead. Look at his right-hand man. Look at Woody. Raging smackhead. This is gang life in the city of Liverpool these days. You're not dealing with a Curtis Warren. You're not dealing with a Fever Dungy. You're dealing with full-blown smackheads and crackheads controlling everything to do with gang life in the city of Liverpool. Fact. You've got crazy smackheads controlling young lads that's never touched a stone in their life. Running round shooting people for smackheads. That's what they're doing. Mad. And this is what I'm highlighting. This is what I'm screaming about. Look what you're doing, lads. You're getting used by smackheads. They don't give a what happens to you. Why? Because they're just smackheads with money. The only difference with this person smoking heroin and that person bumming on your street is this one's distributing it and this one's buying it. It's the only difference with the smackheads these days. One's selling, one's buying, and you can see the difference in them. Why? Because this one's in a car, this one's in a wheelchair. And I've got 9% on my battery, people. And I've been doing nothing but just speaking and answering questions. I'm not bigging myself up. If anything, I'm trying to level everything out for everyone. No one is higher than no one. You're a fighter, doesn't mean you're higher than this kid who doesn't fight. We're all fighters at the end of the day. The real fight is inside. The real fight is able to control your emotions. The real fight is able not to participate in your violent outbursts and shit. That's the real fight inside. And you all know what I'm on about. Half of you can't say what a fight like in the ring, can you? Not one of you. Well, if there's 100 people there, 30 of you can probably say we've had a fight in a ring. And you can explain what it feels like. But every single one of you that's listening now has had a fight that's inside. And you know what it feels like. And you know exactly what a fight feels like, don't you? That's what I'm saying. The real fights are in here, people. The real warriors are born inside here. Not in an octagon, not in a ring, not in your street. The real heroes are all inside here. And good on you kids that can fight physically. You know, but it's the psychological fight that I see a lot of you as champions not being able to compete with. And this is where the real fighting happens. This is what I'm trying to say to you all, people. Yeah, look at Tyson Fury. Look at him. World champion boxer, but psychologically, he's never won a belt in his life. Do you understand what I mean? Not just him. It might seem like I'm targeting him all the time. I'm just using him because he's the most relevant boxer. It's not personal. But the point I'm making is, look at how many fights he's had. Look at the fighting man in the ring. But look how many times he breaks down in his career. Look how many times he turns to addiction. Look how many times he turns to his old ways. You can be as hard as you feel like with these, but you can be weak as a in here. And when you see people going like that, it's because they're weak psychologically. They haven't got the inner fight. They haven't got the willpower to strive and survive. The only person that's going to pick that Tyson up properly to keep him up is himself. If he keeps on relying on people like Daniel Kinahan and individuals like him to give him that energy to get him off his arse and let him get back on his knees, he's never going to do it.